Welcome to the Aligned Powerhouse, the podcast for executive women who are done leading from burnout and ready to rise from alignment. I'm your host, Dr. Brittany McGeehan, licensed psychologist, high performance and mindset coach, and guide for high-achieving women who are ready to lead, live, and love without abandoning themselves. Here, we unpack the nervous system truths, mindset shifts, and emotional patterns that drive your leadership so you can build power from the inside out. Let's get into it. Okay, welcome back to the Aligned Powerhouse Podcast, the show for executive women who are done leading from overdrive and ready to live, love, and lead from deep alignment. I'm your host, Dr. Brittany McGeehan, licensed psychologist and high performance and mindset coach, and your guide back to wholeness. Last episode, we unpacked the rescuer reflex, how it hooks in high-achieving women into overfunctioning in every role that they hold. And today we're going to talk about something that's just as sneaky and just as profound, but even more transformational once you have built the muscle for it. So today we are talking about receiving without earning. So I want you to picture this. Imagine being able to receive support, love, rest, and joy, not after your to-do list is complete, not just in celebration of a milestone, but simply because it is a Wednesday and you are worthy of joy. Now, if you flinched a little at this idea, you are in the right place. In this episode, we are going to explore why it's a non-negotiable for women in senior leadership to learn to receive without earning, and why so many powerful women struggle to let good things in. We're going to hit how this is a nervous system pattern, and be sure to hang out to the end because we are also going to get into building a healthy receiving practice that's actually going to jumpstart your journey into deeper alignment. So let's get into it. First and foremost, I want to talk about why learning to receive without earning is even something that should be on your radar. A lot of times I will hear from women, if this is working for me, then why should I do anything different? Why should I worry about it? And certainly in this way, right? Doing the work, the inner work that it takes to step out of this pattern is usually not fun, right? I always say things get worse before they get better, but then, they get really good. So here's the thing. Time and time again, I have talked to women in senior leadership in the C-suite. They are at the top of the food chain. And although they have spent years cultivating a powerful set of skills that have gotten them to the table, right? They have something to say. Every single time they step into this space, it does not fail, but in some way, shape, or form, they step back into imposter syndrome. Right? Now, here's what I want to tell you is that learning to receive without earning, that is like your key to stepping out of imposter syndrome for good, like actually rewiring it out of your system in the first place. So self-connection says that I know that I am already enough. I know that I am safe even when the environment around me is chaotic or it feels like it's on fire. I am enough. I am safe. I am capable of taking care of myself. It is also that self-connection that is allowing you to receive without earning in the first place. When we are in a place of, I need to perform, I need to finish my to-do list, and then I can go on my walk, and then I can go play with my friends, whether that's at happy hour, going on a hike, right? We are in a place of performance. We are in a place of hustling for that worth. That is an immediate disconnection from self. The two cannot coexist. So when you are able to tap into this place of deep self-connection, deep worthiness, it is literally impossible for that to be attuned and connected and online in your brain. And for you also to have this idea of imposter syndrome, of I'm not good enough. I am X, Y, and Z, right? Because the data speaks for every woman in senior leadership 10 times over. I guarantee you are 2 to 3 times better at your job than the man sitting next to you, right? Now that's an over exaggeration. Don't come for me, whatever. But you know what I'm saying? You are damn good at your game. You know what you are doing. And so if you can look at it from a purely data standpoint, you have what you need. The imposter syndrome doesn't actually make sense. It is simply that we are disconnected from that truth and from that self. Another reason that it is so critical to learn how to receive without earning is you can't delegate if you can't receive. Okay. So yes, I am talking about C-suiters who are leading these companies. They are like always handing things off to someone else, right? But do you know how many of these women I work with that don't actually have an assistant? And I mean at work or at home. I am a firm believer that house management is critical for any mother who is juggling home life as well as a career. And even if not, I very firmly believe we should all stay in our boundaries. I mean, that's true too, but our lane, right? And I don't know about you. My zone of genius is not maintaining a home. It is not maintaining the mental load. And so bringing someone in who is going to help to tidy a little bit, but also is going to manage your pantry and is going to help with meal prep and is going to help get the kiddos and the babies where they need to be and make sure that they have all of their appointments that are set, right? We cannot step into this level of delegation and supported leadership, which, by the way, is directly going to push you into your zone of genius because you get to focus on the aspects that you really enjoy, right? Whether that is your career. But for me, motherhood is not laundry. Motherhood is not cleaning a home. That is home management. To me, motherhood is being present and delighting in my children. It is so much easier to do that when you have support. So you cannot delegate if you cannot receive. Here is the other thing. Love without strings, love that you do not have to earn, is always going to be what your younger self always needed. Now, yes, this is reparenting. This is woo, but guess what, guys? Woo is actually very rooted in science, and I like both. So you want the shortcut to getting into your most functional self at 10 times the speed, being able to land in that zone of genius, make the critical decisions that you need to make, and truly step into your capacity. It is learn how to reparent your younger self. And all of us have needed to learn and to have received love without strings. Okay, reparent the younger self and watch that creativity flow. Now, let's talk about the inverse. Okay, let's talk about the cost that we really don't, I don't see this conversation happening unless you're already in this space, right? But I don't see us talking about how much it's actually costing us as women, as families, as partners, but also as a society to be in this space of over earning and constantly performing in order to try and receive, right? So, and I'm going to back up even a little bit more. So I want to talk about like, what does it even mean to earn or to not earn, right? Love, rest, money, praise, etc., etc. So when you are in this space of, yes, it is, I cannot go and play until my to-do list is done, right? It's also sitting at the dinner table with your partner and really paying attention to every single thing that he has to say, and you are filing it away in a cabinet, and you are maintaining a pulse on what your relationship feels like. And deep down, you know that also, like, actually you need a little bit of support too, but you're not quite in a place to be able to ask for that. And so instead, your happy place, your home base is actually to maintain a pulse on the relationship. Does he have everything that he needs? Does he have the emotional support that he needs? Does he need an additional appointment to be made? Are the children behaving in a way that really kind of soothe his nervous system and make him feel like a good father? You know, it is also, I can't go and spend money on coaching. I can't do X, Y, and Z because I haven't gotten this bonus that I'm waiting on. I need to earn it. And we're talking beyond budget, right? So I'm going to give you an example, but the work that I do is confidential, right? So all of the stories and the examples that I share here, they're actually composites, meaning I am chopping up a whole bunch of stories and I'm pushing them together so that you can really sort of get an idea. Because here's the thing, the same themes walk into my office over and over again. We all like to think that we're special. We all like to think that our story is different, and you are special, you are unique. All of those things are very true, but I see the same patterns over and over and over again. So I'm going to share a story, and we are going to call this woman, we're going to call her Tina. So Tina came into my office, and she was sitting in the C-suite, as many of my clients are, and she said, like, work is doing what it needs to do. We are building and expanding rapidly. Really, what I need to work on is my marriage. I know that I am struggling to feel connected. I know that I am not asking for what I need in the right way. I know that, like, you fill in the blank. This woman had an agenda. She had a journal that was full of all of the ways that she wasn't good enough. She wasn't doing what she needed to do so that she could receive healthy intimacy in return. Okay. And this is what these women do, is they come in and they are ready to check the box on whatever they need to check so that now I am good enough to receive a healthy relationship. And they'll use their words. They'll say, these are the smart women we are talking about, right? So they'll say, I know it's a dynamic. I know it's twofold. I know that, he's also has work to do, but I really want to focus on X, Y, and Z. Now, we love a self-aware queen over here. We love someone who wants to focus on themselves. At the end of the day, it's the only thing you actually have control over. But typically that's BS. They don't actually want to ask their partner to change. They want to change themselves to become someone who is now good enough to receive healthy emotional intimacy, because usually we have a lot of daddy issues and we never received that in the first place. Okay. So this woman came in and we started doing work on her family of origin. So again, we're looking at that age frame of like 0 to 18, what sort of dynamics were present. Lo and behold, we had a mother who felt as though she was in direct competition with this woman all throughout her life. And she had a father who praised her external accomplishments. And other than that, really did not give her the time of day. So again, you have a woman who is being told you are worthy of time, attention, love when you are killing it in your academics, right? When you are getting the A+ across the board, when you are excelling at the sports, when you are excelling at whatever, like maybe it is music, whatever it is, right? This is where she learned to receive. And she just had stayed in this place, right, of continually pushing the bar. And on top of that, and this is what I tell women who come in and they say, I'm nervous to do work on this because being a high achiever, being a power, like that's who I am. What am I going to do if I don't have that? To which I always tell people, it will always be a part of who you are, right? It will always be a part of who you are. The difference is you're going to learn how to turn it on and turn it off. You're going to gain some autonomy over this compulsion, this piece of you that is driven to be the best no matter what. And that's actually self-sabotaging all your relationships, right? So back to this woman. So we're doing work. We're putting together the map. We are piecing together, how did we get here in the first place? I treat relationships in this work as a formula. So 1 + 1 is 2. I know that if you are over here as a 2 and you have a 1 as a husband or as a partner, then I can absolutely tell you there's a 1 over here. We're going to find it. We're going to reconnect with this younger version of yourself, clear out your nervous system and get you on your way. And so that's exactly what we did, right? Yes, lo and behold, when we went and we actually connected with this little girl, which that's a pretty woo process. You got to really trust me in order to go along on the ride. But again, I want you to remember it's all very based in neuroscience, right? So we go back and we connect, and we're also asking this younger version of her, hey, what is it that you need in this current adult relationship? And come to find out, she was like, I am exhausted and I really don't have a place in this relationship? Like, what do you mean? Now, a healthy psyche, a healthy sense of self integrates all of us. And so I want you to imagine a bus. And all of these different pieces of us are on the bus. Now, we don't necessarily want a 5-year-old driving that bus, but if you want everyone, if you want all the pieces of you to really feel integrated and to feel honored and loved and cherished, then a 5-year-old does get a say and they get to choose the destination sometimes, right? So lo and behold, with this woman, with Tina, 5-year-old really did not have a voice. And so we started there. We started by allowing her partner to be disappointed because for once she was putting herself first. She was saying, I actually really want to go and visit this place. I want to play with these toys. I don't want to hold it all together. And this really rocked her partner, right? Because her partner had fallen in love with a woman who was emotionally unavailable, always put together, and never needed anything from him. Now, all of a sudden, this new version of his partner was showing up and was like, hey, actually, I really want to hold your hand. I actually really want to be able to cry on your shoulder, and I don't want you to balk or to run away, right? And so then it was working through all of this. But this is the issue with earning any kind of rest, with performative love, guys, is that you get stuck in this place of looking as though you don't actually need anything. And that is not intimacy. That is self-sabotage. That is pushing away the very thing that we all desire the most, which is connection and to be seen. This pattern is usually masked as discipline. It is masked as integrity or strength or taking accountability. But I want you to know, and I want you to write it down and add an asterisk or add a star, right? Put a box around it. This is a trauma response. People are messy. Relationships are messy. And if you have made success sustainable by managing every single variable, there's an issue there because your softness is going to feel like a threat and not a resource. And guys, the softness is what is necessary to connect you to that core of who you are, which is how you truly allow yourself to be seen. This is also connection to your intuition, which is what you need. You need immediate access to that when you are in a high stakes conversation and deciding what's going to be delegated, who needs to go where, or when you're deciding whether or not you're going to step in and support your kiddo. Maybe it is that they forgot their shoes for dance. And am I going to let them learn this lesson essentially the hard way because I've reminded them a million times. I've been teaching them to work on their executive functioning and keep a list and know that like things are not always going to be fixed for them. Or do I decide to step in because that's what's developmentally appropriate? These things don't feel high stakes. And don't get me wrong, I'm not saying every single moment and decision is high stakes, but they accumulate. And the difference is someone who is connected, someone who is not performative can take a moment to notice what is happening in their body, say, I am safe enough to trust myself and to make an aligned decision, and then can take an immediate action. They don't spiral, they don't get stuck, they don't lose sleep, they're not talking about it 3 weeks later because they know that they did the best that they could. So now I want to talk a little bit about the nervous system and again, why receiving for women in leadership feels unsafe on a biological level. Because again, we are told as women, and in particular women in this category, and I fall into it, right? I am absolutely the golden child, the overachiever, whatever. We are taught that when you are uncomfortable, it's not that bad. It's not that serious. You're okay. Push through it. This is how you build discipline. And so what you're doing is you're even further disconnecting from the biological signs that your body is giving you. Guys, when your body responds in a certain way, it is communicating to you. She will always be your strongest ally. And you need to nurture that relationship. But again, so here is what happens. If we have spent the beginning of our life only receiving a hit of oxytocin, the feel good, the hug hormone, if we are only receiving that, coming back to this composite, right? When you are getting 100 on the assignment, or when you are sitting at the top of band or choir or the soccer team, whatever it is, if that is when you receive it, then your nervous system is going to start to make those associations. When I do well, then I receive a positive stimulus. Now, the nervous system is wired to continue pulling us toward what is familiar, not what is healthy. So if you try to step out of this pattern, if you try to say, I feel as though what I really need is to be able to just lose it for a minute. I need to be able to go to my bedroom. Maybe it's put myself in timeout. Yes, I had to do this yesterday with young kids, right? But maybe it's like looking at your partner and saying, I need a break. I need rest, and I cannot be the one to meal prep this week. I need support. So I'm going to go take a break, right? If that is a direct violation of what you are used to associating with rest, then your body is going to jump into the sympathetic end of your nervous system, and it's going to find fight or flight, and it's going to try to protect itself. So again, you are literally wired to associate something that is actually going to allow you to expand, connect with yourself more deeply, hone that intuition. You are going to be biologically wired to associate that with a threat. This is why this is so hard to step out of. Unfamiliar experiences are scary. Look at toddlers, right? Look at toddlers. Once they get to a certain age, they start to become really frightened of things that we know are not actually a threat, right? Now you hone that over years and years and years, and it could be that a very healthy option, such as go home and take care of yourself, take the day off, hire help, is going to register in your body as danger. And on top of this, we as women are praised for giving and for rescuing. We are taught as women, it is our job to take care of everyone around us. And that is what a good and loving woman does. I'm not saying that's a bad thing. I am saying when that is done at the expense of yourself, that is not healthy. So while we are taught to give, while we are taught to be of service and to share our gifts, we are rarely taught to actually receive, and it is a skill. So that being said, let's get into talking about what does it actually look like to build a receiving practice. Now, if you did not have a notebook before, if you were not taking notes, I want you to go ahead and pull that out, because I'm going to give you some things that you're going to be able to work your way through, just like a little checklist. Okay. What we are going to start with is talking about we need to talk about how to actually shift this pattern gently. And here's the thing. If you know me, you know that I work top down, which means we are going to start with the part of you that is honed and that is the strength, and that is your mind. Typically, the women that I work with who are sitting at the top of the food chain, they are sharp. They're so sharp. They are also incredibly disconnected from their bodies. So while I'm going to tell you, go start some body work, while I'm going to tell you, go start some mindfulness and start listening to what your body has to tell you, I also know that that is not the quickest way to change for you. We're going to start with your thoughts and we're going to work our way down. Okay. So the first thing I want you to do is I want you to notice where it is that you are rejecting help, praise, joy, support, and I'm going to give you some examples. So the first, and this is where I want you to take your notepad out, is in your work. This can look like micromanaging the team instead of trusting them to rise and fall by their own merits, or investing in actual mentorship. It can look like avoiding executive coaching or therapy due to fill in limiting belief. I don't have the time, I don't have the money, whatever it is. It can also look like saying yes to every project or every board seat that is put in front of you simply because you know it's going to look good, right? Now, if you are in corporate, I know there's a game to be played and you are all playing it very well, but that doesn't mean this opportunity is the only opportunity. In parenting, this can look like doing all of the school and daycare or extracurricular logistics by yourself, even if you have a partner who would be equally inconvenienced or potentially is also like available to help. It can look like avoiding asking for childcare help from a neighbor, from family, from friends, or just finding and investing in a good babysitter. It can look like taking on the emotional labor for everyone in the household. So rather than being the thermostat where you are really maintaining the emotional keel for where you want people to sit, instead you are the thermometer and you're meeting people where they're at. And you're constantly vigilant of what everyone in the house is feeling. And that feels like your responsibility. This can also look like overcompensation with perfectionism. So I want to be a good enough mom. My mom didn't give me blah, blah, blah. My dad didn't give me blah, blah, blah. So I am absolutely going to make sure that I make sure my kids have this and they have it 24/7, 100% of the time, right? It's not possible. This can also look like rejecting a parenting like support group or parent coaching when a new behavior, I always say like when a new level unlocks, right? So a new behavior starts to show up and you feel really overwhelmed and at a loss. There are professionals who can help support you with that. Next category is home management. So running all the household systems. Your home is a system in the same way that your business is. So if you are the one in charge of groceries, bills, cleaning, all of the different systems it takes to continue to keep things moving forward, right? That's an opportunity. Resisting the urge to hire a house manager. A house manager does not have to be someone who is coming in and charging these really high rates. It can also be a high schooler. It can be a high schooler. I guess it could be. It's like over the summer, but I meant to say a college student. It could be a college student who's looking for just some part-time work every now and then. Maybe it's 5-10 hours a week. Someone who can help support resetting the house and maintaining your list of groceries. Maybe they're the ones who put the list together or put your grocery cart together because they are now maintaining the pantry. And it's one thing that you don't have to think about, right? Avoiding the distress that will come if you allow your partner to take on some of the domestic responsibilities, if they don't do things the way that you do it, or if something's going to be forgotten. This is a huge one. And refusing logistical support for others. So staying stuck in resentment or overfunctioning, all big, big signs that there is something that is missing here. I always tell people like your motherhood, your parenthood, your experience in your marriage is not dependent. Like motherhood is not laundry. Motherhood is not dishes. Motherhood is not taking care of a house. It's being present with your children. Now in marriage, some areas here is not sharing vulnerabilities out of fear that it's going to be a burden or it's going to weaken the relationship, right? He loves me because I am put together. He loves me because I'm strong. So therefore I cannot actually bring my issues to him. Taking on the therapist role for the partner, but never being emotionally held in return. If you are always managing the relationship dynamic, so you're the person keeping a hand on the pulse, we really need to work on communication. We really need to spend more time together. We really need to work on our budget. We really need to make sure that we're having more sex or that we're scheduling sex or whatever it is, right? This is stepping into the parenting role within the marriage. Or struggling to allow your partner to co-regulate or to be disappointed. And then for yourself, ignoring intuition in favor of performance or external approval, pushing through exhaustion rather than resting, withholding pleasure because we haven't met a certain milestone, or expecting that you should be able to meet all of your emotional and physical needs on your own. I always use the example of I get consistent body work and I probably will forever and ever because in my history, there was big lack in terms of physical nurturing, safe physical nurturing. Okay. So that is something that I am always seeking in adulthood. That is not my partner's job to maintain, although it's certainly something that is corrective. That is my job. And it's my job to go and figure out how to meet that need. I'm not going to be able to meet that need on my own. And so instead, I ensure that there's room in the budget, in my calendar every single week to go and maintain body work, to take care of that piece of myself. Okay. So once you kind of go through all of these categories and think about this, then I want you to pause and ask, what would it actually feel like to let this in? So you can sit, close your eyes, and imagine what would it be like to walk up to your partner and to say, I really need a hug. And I don't want to be fixed. I don't want to be talked at. I just want to be held and I want to be allowed to cry, right? Notice what sensations, this is where we're going top down. Notice what sensations show up in your body when you're imagining this, okay? So initially, you might notice a little bit of constriction. Usually heart rate takes off because again, this is new. It's not that it's unsafe, but it is that it's unnew. But then you might notice a little bit of softening. So then I want you to take it one step further and find a somatic or body-based anchor. So such as putting a hand over the heart and pairing that with an affirmation. It is safe to receive. I am safe, right? If the communication that your body is giving you is it's not safe to do this, I should be alone. We want to counteract that with an affirmation, hand over the heart. Maybe it's a hand over the belly. And we're going to breathe in through the nose and out through the mouth. Visualizing that younger you who is feeling really afraid and uncertain because this is a new experience, and telling her, maybe even visualizing adult you telling younger you, I am safe. You are safe. It is safe to receive. And then from there, journaling, right, to further integration. So here's what I want you to carry with you from this episode. You do not have to earn what is already meant for you. You are not powerful when you do it all alone. I'm going to say that one more time. Because I can think of some women who are like, no, thank you. You are not powerful when you do it all alone. And you are not more lovable when you shrink your needs to keep it all together. And you are certainly not more successful when you override your softness. Real leadership, especially in senior positions of leadership, it's not about performance. It is about presence and connection. So thank you so much for listening to the Aligned Powerhouse. If this episode stirred something in you, if you are realizing how much you have been taught to earn your rest, your love, and your worth, I would love for you to subscribe to the show, leave a review, share it with a friend who is done leading from burnout and is ready to lead from alignment. Your words help more executive women find their way to deeper self-trust, sustainable power, and unapologetic wholeness. This is how we change the way that women lead together. Until next time, stay soft and get messy. And remember that rest is your birthright. Alrighty, friend, that is all for today's episode of the Aligned Powerhouse Podcast. I want to thank you so much for tuning in. And do me a favor, if this episode resonated, I want you to share it with another powerhouse woman in your life who is ready to lead and love from a place of self-trust. And don't forget to follow, subscribe, and leave a quick rating or review. It really does help more women find this work. New episodes drop every week. Until then, lead with self-trust and let yourself be seen.